A loving husband waits at home, unaware that tonight his life is about to be shattered. A wife returns from what should have been an ordinary work party, her lipstick smeared, her balance unsteady, and her guilt unmistakable. One question hangs in the air: what happened that night? Adam and Diana's life together began like a dream. They met 7 years ago in the most unexpected place, a local bookstore. Adam, a meticulous accountant with a love for order, was looking for a rare book when he noticed Diana browsing the art section. She was vibrant, wearing a floral dress that complemented her radiant smile. Her hands flipped through pages of a thick art journal, her passion for creativity evident in her every move. Adam was captivated. Their relationship blossomed quickly. Diana, a freelance artist, brought color and spontaneity to Adam's otherwise structured life. Adam's practical nature, in turn, gave Diana the stability she had always longed for. Together, they built a cozy home filled with love, laughter, and countless memories. Their house was a reflection of their relationship. Her paintings adorned the walls, while his precise organization kept everything in place. In the early years, their bond was unshakable. Weekend getaways, candlelit dinners, and late-night talks filled their days. Diana's eyes sparkled whenever Adam surprised her with little gestures, like her favorite flowers or tickets to an art exhibit. Adam adored Diana's fiery spirit and her ability to see beauty in the mundane. They truly believed they were each other's soulmates. But over time, the cracks began to show. Adam threw himself into his demanding job, often working late nights to provide for their future. Diana, meanwhile, started feeling isolated, her vibrant world reduced to the routine of home life. She missed the spark, the thrill of something new. To fill the void, Diana poured herself into her art and later took up a job as a creative consultant at a marketing firm. At first, the changes seemed good for her. She spoke about her projects with enthusiasm, her confidence growing. Adam was proud, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. Their once endless conversations were replaced by brief exchanges. Diana's laughter became rare, her gaze often distracted. Then came the late nights. Diana started staying at the office for meetings, or so she claimed. Adam tried to push away his doubts. He trusted her, didn't he? Yet, little things began to gnaw at him. Her sudden hesitance to share her phone, the faint scent of cologne not his own lingering on her clothes, and her increasingly distant demeanor. Adam wanted to believe it was just stress. He tried to reignite the spark, planning a romantic weekend getaway and even cooking her favorite meals. But each attempt seemed to hit a wall. Diana smiled, but her heart wasn't in it. She was drifting further, and Adam couldn't understand why. On one rainy evening, Adam sat alone at the dining table, the dinner he prepared growing cold. Diana was late again. The clock ticked louder with every passing moment, amplifying the silence in the room. When the door finally opened, Diana walked in, her hair slightly messy, her lipstick smudged. A mix of alcohol and an unfamiliar scent clung to her. Adam froze, his stomach churning. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Adam stood in the dimly lit living room, his hands clenched at his sides. Diana stumbled through the door, oblivious to the storm brewing in his chest. Her eyes darted around the room, and for a brief moment, they met his. A flicker of guilt crossed her face before she looked away, setting her purse on the couch. Late night. Adam's voice was calm, but the edge of accusation was impossible to miss. Diana avoided his gaze. The meeting ran over. You know how these things go. Her response was too quick, too rehearsed. Adam's eyes narrowed. The faint red smudge on the corner of her lips and the disheveled state of her hair told a different story. But it was the scent that hit him hardest, the unmistakable mix of alcohol and a cologne that wasn't his. He took a step closer, his jaw tightening. What is this, Diana? He gestured at her face, at the lipstick smeared across her cheek. And don't tell me it's work. Diana faltered, her confident facade cracking. Adam, please. I had a few drinks, that's all. It's nothing. Don't, Adam interrupted, his voice rising. Don't insult me by pretending this is nothing. Who was it? Was it someone at the office? Her silence was deafening. The room felt heavy with unspoken truths. Adam's heart pounded in his chest, a mix of rage and betrayal surging through him. He needed to hear it from her, even though part of him already knew. I can explain, Diana stammered, her voice shaky. Explain what? Adam snapped. That you came home reeking of someone else's cologne? That your lipstick is smeared like… He stopped himself, unable to finish the thought. It was a mistake, Diana blurted out, tears pooling in her eyes. I drank too much at the party. I wasn't thinking clearly. Adam let out a bitter laugh. A mistake? That's what you call this? Coming home looking like this isn't a slip-up, Diana. It's a choice. A deliberate, selfish choice. Tears streamed down her face now, but Adam couldn't bring himself to care. He turned away, trying to catch his breath. His hands shook as he ran them through his hair. He felt like he was suffocating in the room, surrounded by the remnants of a trust that was now shattered. Get your things, he said coldly, not even looking at her. And get out of this house. Diana gasped. Adam, no, please don't do this. I love you. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. Love? Adam's voice was ice. You think this is love? If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Diana fell to her knees, clutching the hem of his shirt. I was lost, Adam. I felt invisible, like I didn't matter anymore. I made a mistake, but I need you to believe me. It didn't mean anything. He pulled away from her grip. It meant everything to me, he said, his voice breaking. You didn't just betray me, Diana. You destroyed everything we had. Diana's cries echoed in the room, but Adam didn't flinch. He needed space, time to think. As he walked away, his foot brushed against her purse. Something fell out, a phone. He picked it up, his hand trembling as he unlocked it. The screen lit up with a message. Last night was incredible. I can't wait to see you again. The contact was saved under the name Work, but Adam knew better. His stomach churned as he stared at the words. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a pattern, a deception that had been going on for who knew how long. Diana stood, noticing the phone in his hand. Her eyes widened in horror. Adam, I can explain. Who is he? Adam demanded, his voice shaking with fury. Who is the man you've been meeting? It doesn't matter, Diana whispered, her voice barely audible. It matters to me. Adam roared. Who is he? Her silence was all the confirmation he needed. The air between them was thick with tension, each second stretching into eternity. Finally, Diana whispered, I'll leave. She grabbed her suitcase and headed for the door, but Adam wasn't done. As she reached for the handle, he grabbed her arm, stopping her. Do you regret it? He asked, his voice low and heavy. Diana's lips quivered, but she didn't answer. She pulled her arm away and left, the door slamming shut behind her. Adam stood in the empty room, his chest heaving. He stared at the phone still clutched in his hand, the damning message glowing on the screen. Just as he was about to throw it across the room, it vibrated. An incoming call. The name on the screen read Work. He hesitated before answering. Hello. A male voice responded, calm but sinister. We need to talk. It's about Diana. Adam froze. Who is this? Let's just say I'm the man who ruined your life. The call disconnected, leaving Adam with more questions than answers. He stared at the phone, his mind racing. If he thought the betrayal ended with Diana, he was wrong. This was only the beginning. Adam stared at the phone in his hand, his pulse pounding. The cryptic words of the man on the other end haunted him. I'm the man who ruined your life. What did that even mean? Was it Diana's lover? Or was it something far worse? He needed answers, but the pieces of the puzzle only seemed to scatter further. The following morning, Adam's exhaustion was palpable. He hadn't slept, his mind replaying every moment from the previous night. The message on Diana's phone, her guilty expression, and now this mysterious call. It all gnawed at him relentlessly. He sat in the kitchen, staring blankly at his cold coffee when his phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. He answered with hesitation. Who is this? It's me, the voice said. The same man. calm yet laced with malice. Diana didn't tell you the whole story, did she? Adam gripped the phone tighter. What do you want? To tell you the truth. The man chuckled softly. Your wife didn't just cheat on you. She's been living a lie. And I think you deserve to know everything. Speak, Adam growled, his patience thin. She didn't just have an affair with me, the man continued. She was involved with her boss too. Oh yes, your perfect little wife has been quite the busy one. But here's the kicker, I was her distraction from him. She used me, Adam, just like she used you. Adam's knuckles turned white as he gripped the phone. What are you talking about? She had an affair with her boss long before I came into the picture. When things started to get messy between them, she turned to me. I was her cover story, her excuse, while she kept things going with him behind everyone's back. Adam's stomach churned. The weight of the revelation pressed down on him like a vice. How do you know all this? Because I saw it with my own eyes, the man replied. They were together at the office after hours, whispering like lovesick teenagers. But it wasn't just about lust. She needed him, and when I became a liability, she dropped me. But I'm not the kind of man who takes that lightly. The call ended abruptly, leaving Adam staring at the phone in disbelief. His world was unraveling faster than he could comprehend. Diana's betrayal wasn't just an affair. It was a web of lies, deceit, and manipulation. Determined to confront her, Adam drove to their house. When he arrived, Diana was sitting on the couch, her face pale and drawn. She looked up as he entered, her eyes red from crying. Adam, don't, he interrupted, his voice cold. I've heard enough. Who is he? Your boss. Diana froze, her lips trembling. How do you? I know everything, Adam snapped. The affair, the lies, the manipulation. How long? Diana? How long have you been deceiving me? She buried her face in her hands, her sobs muffled. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she whispered. Then how was it supposed to be? Adam demanded. You betrayed me, Diana. Over and over again. Through her tears, Diana confessed. It started with him, my boss. He knew about some mistakes I made at work. I altered reports, Adam. I thought it was harmless at first, but when he found out, he blackmailed me. He threatened to expose everything unless I did what he wanted. And what did he want? Adam asked, his voice trembling with rage. At first, it was just small favors, she said. But then it escalated. I felt trapped. Adam. I couldn't say no. And the other man? Adam pressed. The one who called me? Diana hesitated. He was a distraction. I was trying to escape the control my boss had over me. But it didn't work. I was in too deep. Adam stared at her, a mixture of anger and disbelief swirling within him. So what was I? Your safety net? The husband you kept around to maintain the illusion of a perfect life? No, Diana cried. I loved you. I still do. But I was scared. I didn't know how to get out. Adam shook his head. You didn't even try, Diana. You chose this. The room fell silent, the weight of her confession hanging in the air. But Adam wasn't done. He needed answers, and he needed revenge. Not just against Diana, but against the man who had blackmailed her and destroyed his marriage. The next few days were a whirlwind. Adam began gathering evidence against Diana's boss, determined to expose him. He contacted a friend who worked in corporate law, sharing the messages and emails Diana had shown him. Together, they built a case that could not only ruin the man's career but also protect other employees from his predatory behavior. As Adam delved deeper, he discovered just how far the boss's manipulation went. Diana wasn't his only victim. Several other employees had been coerced into unethical practices, their careers dangling by a thread. The man had used his position of power to control and exploit them. Fueled by a sense of justice, Adam took the evidence to the company's board of directors. Within weeks, the boss was fired and publicly disgraced. News of the scandal spread, tarnishing his reputation beyond repair. But the victory felt hollow. While Adam had succeeded in taking down the man who had manipulated Diana, it didn't erase the betrayal or heal the wounds she had inflicted. Back at home, Diana was a shadow of her former self. She had resigned from her job, unable to face the humiliation and whispers of her colleagues. Her once bright eyes were now dull, and the vibrant energy that had drawn Adam to her was gone. One evening, as Adam packed his things to leave, Diana approached him. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," she said quietly, "but I want you to know that I'm sorry. For everything." Adam looked at her, his expression unreadable. "You made your choices, Diana, and now you have to live with them." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I just hope one day you'll understand that I never wanted to hurt you." As Adam walked out the door, he felt a strange mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a faint glimmer of relief. He was finally free from the lies and deceit that had consumed his life. Adam drove aimlessly through the city streets, the weight of everything Diana had confessed pressing heavily on his chest. Despite exposing her boss and seeing him publicly disgraced, the victory felt hollow. The pain of betrayal ran too deep, and every memory of Diana's lies replayed in his mind like a relentless storm. He thought about the life they'd built together, their love, their home, and how it had crumbled under the weight of her choices. That night, Adam checked into a small motel on the outskirts of town. The room was sparse, with bare walls and a lingering scent of disinfectant, but it was quiet. It was what he needed to think, to process, and to decide his next move. In the days that followed, Adam focused on rebuilding his life. He filed for separation, officially marking the end of their marriage. The legal process was straightforward, but emotionally, it felt like tearing away a piece of himself. Diana didn't contest the separation. In fact, she seemed resigned, as though she knew she had no right to ask for another chance. Her messages became less frequent, and eventually they stopped altogether. Adam didn't respond to any of them. He needed distance, space to breathe and heal. But healing wasn't as simple as cutting ties. Everywhere he turned, reminders of Diana lingered. The scent of her perfume on the throw pillows, her paintings on the walls, even the way sunlight streamed through the windows, casting shadows that used to make their home feel alive. Adam made the difficult decision to sell the house. It was no longer a sanctuary but a prison of memories. As he packed up his belongings, he stumbled upon a box of mementos, photos, ticket stubs, and handwritten notes from their early days. He hesitated, the urge to relive those happier times pulling at him. But he knew he couldn't move forward while holding on to the past. With a heavy heart, he sealed the box and left it behind. Meanwhile, Diana's life was unraveling. Without her job or Adam's support, she struggled to find stability. Her resignation and the scandal surrounding her boss had left her reputation in tatters. Job offers were non-existent, and her finances quickly dwindled. Friends she once leaned on now kept their distance, their sympathy waning as whispers of her actions spread. In her isolation, Diana reached out to her former lover, the man who had first called Adam. But he was uninterested in rekindling their relationship. "I was just a pawn in your game," he told her coldly. "Don't expect me to clean up your mess." Desperate and alone, Diana tried to start fresh, but every attempt seemed to lead to another dead end. The vibrant woman who once lit up any room she entered was now a shadow of herself, weighed down by regret and the consequences of her actions. For Adam, moving on was a slow and painful process. He threw himself into work, taking on new clients and projects to fill the void. But no amount of busy work could erase the emptiness he felt. Nights were the hardest. The silence in his temporary apartment was deafening, and sleep often eluded him. One evening, a colleague invited Adam to a networking event. Reluctant at first, he eventually agreed, knowing he couldn't isolate himself forever. The event was crowded, filled with laughter and the hum of conversation. Adam felt out of place until he met Rachel. Rachel was a photographer with a warm smile and an easy laugh. Unlike Diana, who had always been the center of attention, Rachel had a quiet confidence that drew people in. They struck up a conversation about their careers, and before long, Adam found himself laughing for the first time in weeks. Over the next few months, Adam and Rachel grew closer. She had her own scars from a past relationship and understood the caution in Adam's approach. She never pushed, allowing him to open up at his own pace. With Rachel, Adam felt a sense of peace he hadn't experienced in years. She reminded him that life could still hold beauty, even after heartbreak. Diana, on the other hand, spiraled further. She reached out to Adam once more, leaving a voicemail that was equal parts apology and desperation. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said, "but I need you to know how sorry I am. I ruined everything, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Adam listened to the message, his chest tightening. He didn't feel anger anymore, just sadness. Diana's words sounded genuine, but they came too late. He had already begun to build a new life, one that didn't include her. Months passed, and the separation was finalized. Adam felt a bittersweet relief when the papers arrived. It was the official end of a chapter, but also the beginning of something new. With Rachel by his side, he started to rediscover joy in the little things. A quiet morning with coffee, a spontaneous road trip, a shared laugh. One day, while having lunch at their favorite cafe, Adam saw Diana walk in. She looked different, worn, with dark circles under her eyes and a posture that spoke of defeat. She noticed Adam and Rachel almost immediately. For a moment, their eyes met, and an awkward silence hung in the air. Diana approached their table hesitantly, clutching a small envelope in her hands. "Adam," she said quietly, her voice trembling, "I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything." Rachel placed a comforting hand on Adam's arm, silently supporting him. Adam nodded, his expression neutral. "I hope you find peace, Diana," he said simply. Diana managed a weak smile, tears glistening in her eyes. "You deserve to be happy," she said before turning and walking away. As Adam watched her leave, he felt an unexpected sense of closure. The pain of the past still lingered, but it no longer defined him. With Rachel beside him, he had found the strength to move forward. The cafe door closed behind Diana, and for the first time in a long while, Adam felt truly free. He reached for Rachel's hand, holding it tightly. "Let's go," he said, his voice steady and filled with purpose. As they stepped into the sunlight, Adam realized that while betrayal had shattered his old life, it had also taught him the value of trust, resilience, and love. He was ready to embrace the future, leaving the past where it belonged, behind him. Months passed, and Adam's life slowly but surely found a new rhythm. The scars of betrayal were still there, but they no longer defined him. He had left the shadows of his past behind and was focused on rebuilding a life that felt genuine, honest, and free of the pain Diana had caused. Rachel became a significant part of that journey. Her patience and understanding allowed Adam to heal at his own pace. She never pried into his past but offered comfort and companionship whenever he chose to share. Together, they created moments that felt simple yet profound, like walking through the park at sunset or sharing stories over a quiet dinner. For Adam, it was a stark contrast to the chaos and lies that had once consumed his life. Diana, on the other hand, struggled to rebuild her own life. The consequences of her actions were far-reaching. With no job and no allies, she was forced to confront the reality of her decisions. The confidence and vibrancy she once exuded were replaced by regret and isolation. She had hoped for a second chance with Adam, but when he moved on, she realized she had truly lost him. Despite her struggles, Diana eventually found a way to stand on her own. She took up freelance work, leveraging her artistic skills to slowly rebuild her reputation. Though she remained a shadow of her former self, she began to find solace in solitude, reflecting on the mistakes that had brought her here. It was a long and painful journey, but Diana knew it was the only way forward. For Adam, life with Rachel was a breath of fresh air. She encouraged him to embrace new opportunities, like taking a trip he had always dreamed of or pursuing a hobby he had neglected. Together, they visited a quaint seaside town, where Adam discovered a passion for photography, a hobby he and Rachel shared. One evening, as they stood on the pier watching the sun dip below the horizon, Adam realized how far he had come. He no longer felt the weight of betrayal pressing down on him. Instead, he felt light, free, and hopeful for the future. The defining moment of Adam's redemption came on a chance encounter. While attending a community event, he saw Diana standing alone by the refreshments table. Her once lively eyes were subdued, but when she saw Adam, they lit up briefly with a flicker of hope. Adam approached her, not out of obligation but out of a genuine desire to close the chapter of their shared past. "Diana," he said softly, his tone devoid of malice. "How are you?" She gave a small, sad smile. "I'm managing. It's not easy, but I'm trying." There was a moment of silence before Diana continued, her voice filled with sincerity. "Adam, I just want you to know how sorry I am. I've thought about what I did every single day, and I wish I could undo it all. You didn't deserve any of it." Adam looked at her, his heart no longer heavy with anger or sadness. "I've made peace with it, Diana. I hope you can too. We both deserve to move forward." Her eyes welled with tears, but she nodded, understanding that this was the closure they both needed. As Adam walked away, he felt a profound sense of release. For the first time, the past truly felt like the past. Now fully immersed in his new life, Adam focused on what truly mattered, building a future rooted in trust and love. Rachel was not just a partner but a beacon of hope, reminding him every day that even after heartbreak, there is room for joy. For Diana, the journey was different, but she too began to find her way. Though her path was lonely, it was one of self-discovery and growth. She vowed never to repeat the mistakes of her past, determined to rebuild a life she could be proud of. As Adam and Rachel walked hand in hand through the park one crisp autumn evening, Adam paused to take in the moment. The pain of the past had taught him invaluable lessons about trust, self-worth, and resilience. And as he looked at Rachel, her laughter ringing out like music, he realized that the best stories don't end with betrayal. They end with redemption. This story reminds us that while betrayal can shatter lives, it also opens the door for growth, healing, and the chance to rebuild. Trust is fragile but not impossible to restore, and love, when nurtured with care, can flourish even after the darkest of times. What did you think of Adam's journey? Have you ever had to rebuild after heartbreak? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Unheard Stories for more gripping tales of love, betrayal, and redemption. Until next time, take care and stay true to yourselves.